Hello, happy Thursday everyone. So I hope you're sitting comfortably. I've got coffee in my mug. We are going to finish off our little snowman. So I left you with a snowman that looks like this. We're going to create the hat, and the reason we haven't done the eyes yet is because you don't really know where to put the eyes until you've actually sewn the hat on. You can do the hat in any colours you like. I'm doing mine in the traditional green and red. We are using chunky wool like we've used for the snowman, and we are going to use a 6mm crochet hook, which I'm just grabbing out of my crochet bag. I've got a particular favourite. I love these Crochet Society ones, but I'll pretty much crochet with anything except for a traditional one. This one we're going to do the main colour in the green and the contrasting colour in red. So we're going to start off with a slip knot. I'm going to start off with slip knot. We're going to pop it onto our hook, and we're going to chain 4 to make our loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to pop our hook into the first chain that we crocheted and slip stitch through to give us a loop, and then we're going to chain 1 to secure the loop. So now I'm going to do 5 double crochet UK turns into the loop. So hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, so that's 3, hook in, yarn over, pull through 2. Oops, got my tail end stuck there. That's 4, and 1 more makes 5. When we get to the end, we're going to go into that first stitch and slip stitch through, and then we're going to do a chain 1. Okay, so in each one of these double crochets we're going to do 2 double crochets. So we're going to do that's 2, 3, and 10. And we're going to finish off our round by slip stitching into the first double crochet we did, like so, and then we're going to chain 1. Now I find it helpful at this point, with it being the hat, to pull up this loop here. So I'm just going to grab my needle, not to pull up, just going to pop a stitch marker in there just in case. I'm just going to sew up this. Now I don't think I've left a very long end, but we'll see. I reckon I spend half my videos threading needles, so we're just going to pull everything together and tighter, like so. So I'm just weaving in and out that first row of stitches. If you started with a magic ring, which is an option, you won't have to do this. Okay, take my needle off, then I'm going to put my stitch back on my hook and grab another slurp of coffee. Here goes. So we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 double crochet UK terms, single in US into each one of these stitches. So 1. So again, that'll be 10 stitches. 2, 10, and then we're just going to slip stitch. So I'm double checking I've got 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, I didn't have 10. I can't count. Only 9. That one's 10. Thought it didn't look right. And into the first stitch at the round. Slip stitch, chain 1. So as you can see, we're starting to get a hat shape. Now, I again prefer this bobbly side. but not everyone prefers that. You can see we're starting to get the hat that's going to go on. So we're going to do one more round into this one. 1, 2, 3. Last one of the round, 10. Slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. Chain 1. As you can see now, we've started to form quite a nice little hat here. To fit our little thing. I'm going to do one more row of single crochet. Sorry, of double crochet. 9 and 10. Oops, we've got it. I've got the tail end catching here. Don't want to do that. Slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, and that should give us the hat shape for our snowman. Bring that out so we don't lose it. So that's a nice snug fit on our snowman. So now we're going to put an edge on. So I haven't done the chain one yet. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave myself a very long tail. You'll see why in a minute. There. And I'm going to start with the red, if I can find the end of the red. There we are. And I'm going to leave an equally long tail of the red, which is going to be a bit annoying to start with, but you'll see. I'm going to put that bit in there. Okay. So I've left long ends on both deliberately. This is like yarn over. And now I'm going to start my double crochet into each one of these to give me my edge. And 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, and 10, and slip stitch back into the original stitch, which is here because it's a different colour. So, and pull through. So at the minute we've got lots and lots of these ends, which will finish off all at the end. I'm going to pop that to one side. So for the scarf, it's dead simple. You're just going to do a slip stitch, which I've already done, and you're going to chain 20. So come back after I've chained 20. So as I get to the end, I've cut my yarn off, but I've not pulled it through, and I'm going to get my contrasting yarn, and I'm going to pull it through this hook, making sure that I've got enough yarn to tie a knot in it when I've finished. And all you're going to do now is you're going to slip stitch all the way down here. So 1, 2. Now be careful you don't fall into a double crochet, because you've been doing lots of double crochet. We don't want it that thin, that thick. And we also want to create a kind of a striped pattern. So on this side, it will look like this, but when we turn it over, it will look quite cool like that. So come back when I finish this and I'll show you what to do next. So as we're coming back now to the last few stitches and get to the last one, we're just going to pull it through, leaving ourselves an end. And it's dead easy to finish off this as you're just going to tie a knot. Now I tie a reef knot, but it can be any knot you want. A double knot just to keep it in place, like so. That's going nowhere now. And then at the other end, you're going to do the same thing. And then you've got a choice. So you can use either end you want to put onto your snowman, but you can leave these ends. So I would cut them like that, and then using the dull end of your embroidery needle, the bit that's got the eye in it, you can just unravel your wool, your yarn, and turn it into kind of this frayed edge stuff that's going off here, look. Like so. So it ends up like a little bit of a fringe. And then you can trim it off, like so, and do the same with the other end. Frizz it a little bit so it goes together. I'm going to put it up against my other one so I've got the same length, like so. Okay, so we've got a hat with some long bits on. We've got a scarf that's finished now, other than attaching it. So what are we going to do with this? Just going to clear the decks. So we're going to use these ends to make up our decoration for the top and to make our hangy bit, our hanging loop. This one just needs to start with, we just need to finish this off. So can you see how that stitch doesn't look finished? I'm just going to loop it into there and then loop it back, and it should look finished then. That's it. Now you've got to make your choice which side you want, whether you want a proper side that's official, or whether you want to go bobbly again. Up to you. I think I'm going to stay bobbly because I quite like this pattern, but if you don't like the pattern you can get that one. But I tell you what, let's do this one for a change. And I'm going to use the inside now. I'm going to use this as the inside, and I'm going to weave it to start with through the red bit at the bottom, this one, trying not to loop everything in it. She says absolutely getting herself in a right mess. There we are. Just weave it into the red a little bit just to secure it, and then I'm going to just catch the green as I go up to the top of the hat, and my loop is going to come out of the top. So just check the outside where it needs to come out. So it needs to come out that hole there. I'm just going to pull it all the way through like that. So now I'm going to repeat that with both the green threads and the other red one, bring them out the top. So come back when I've done that. So I've got 3 loops done out of my 4. I'm going to do my last loop in, back inside. What I've been doing is just keeping my fingers in the loops to get the lengths the same. So like this, finger in loop, pull, turn it inside out, stitch to finish it off. Now I don't want you to cut this one off. You'll see why in a minute. Then I'm going to go back up, and this time I'm going to leave a bigger loop for hanging. So this is our hanging loop. So decide on how long you want your hanging loop to go. That one's not quite in the middle, but it won't make much difference, to be fair, once it's hung, because the hat doesn't sit right in the middle either. So I'm going to make my hanging loop. Oops, nearly dropped it. About twice the length of the loops in my hat. I'm not making this look very easy, am I? So I'm going to get my hanging loop and I'm just going to pull it and keep it like this till I can see how long it is. And that's my hanging loop. Loop back twice as long as that. I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a couple of stitches, one on top of each other, just to keep it in place. So that is my hat with my hanging loop for my snowman. So I'm going to thread my needle again with some black. This is just double knit. You could use anything you've got handy. Tight a little knot. I'm going to start the stitch up here because we're not going to see it. And if the knot doesn't hold, just do a couple of stitches, one on top of each other. And then I'm going to pop the hat on before I stitch it to see where it's going to sit and to where I want my eyes. Now, the thing I found works well is to grab a couple of dressmaking pins and decide where you'd like your two eyes with your dressmaking pins. There we are. And then we can take the hat off. Just gonna get rid of all this. These ends are just a little bit in the way. There we are. Tie that bit up. And then I'm going to use my pins to mark. So I'm coming up where my pins are. Take that pin out now. And a French knot is literally, you just go back through. Let me show you. So I'm literally going back through where I've come up. One, I'm going to do two, I think. Someone's quite a big eye on this one. And then you're going to make sure your bits you've gone around it. I'm going to go back down, and then I'm going to come up where my next eye is. That pin is. Pop the pin out. Same again. Take your needle in slightly sideways where your initial thread went. 1, 2. Pull it. Make sure that the thread's all the way down the bottom. Back in the hole, and this time we're going to come up where the hat will cover our ends. And we're just going to sew off that end, and there's our two eyes. In this case, I don't need to because I've got a random piece of. I'm just going to tie mine with the original bit I left, but you can just sew it off if you haven't got that bit left. At this point, you'll be sick of sewing, but we need to sew on the other bits. So we've got a hat and we've got a scarf to sew on. So the scarf won't be long enough to actually knot, and that's deliberate because if you make it if we try to knot it, the knot would physically be too big to do this with. So I'm going to have a look. You can sew it with either colour thread, it does not matter. Scarf on. Now we're not going to see this knot because it'll be behind the scarf, so I'm just going to come in from behind, leave my knot behind. I'm going to get my scarf, decide which side I'm going to have it. Now I'm going to have it so it looks striped. I'm going to sort it out where I want it to go. I'm going to bring my needle up through my scarf, and I'm going to try and get it up through the red bit because I've got red thread on. I'm going to go back down and just underneath the scarf, just under there, I'm going to do a couple of stitches. Trying not to catch the end of the scarf that we won't see. Like so, 1, 2, and cut it off. And I'm going to leave my thread on. So that's our scarf in place, like so. I'm going to pop my hat on. I'm going to just trim that off a tiny little bit. Now you could put small safety eyes in here, but I quite like the look of the French knot because it looks like bits of coal. And all we're going to do now at the back is we're going to tie another knot, and just under our hat we're going to start a couple of stitches like so. Cut off our end because we don't want to see that. Pop our hat back on. Like so. And you just need to do a few stitches around to stop the hat moving. So I'm catching the white and the red with my thread. Now it's your call how much you need to do, how tight your hat is on your snowman. I think I'm going to go all the way around, just catching it all the way around. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere else. I'm just doing like it's called overcasting. So a little bit of the white, a little bit of the red, overcasting like that. If your hat is a super tight fit, you might not have to go all the way around. Depends on your tension and how. If your walls aren't the same brand, your hat might turn out slightly different. And I'm just going to thread that through like so and cut it off, and that gives you your little snowman. So I've got a little group of snowmen here. One's got no eyes. They're all going to go on my tree. I've got some more hats ready for some more there. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial.